So in the previous session, we have discussed about the very first example. Right. The very first example that what we have discussed in the last session is all about how to create the first Spring application by using Maven as a build tool. We have created one small independent class and we have created the Spring configuration file. Okay. And we are using the IDE called STS. So coming to today's session, so what actually we want to discuss today is first we want to understand about what are the different types of dependency injections. Okay. What actually we are going to see? We are going to understand about what are the different types of dependency injections. And then we are going to understand about how to configure the constructor injection, how to configure the setter injection. So these are the things I'm going to talk in the session today. First, these are the steps I told in the last class. If at all you want to, okay, if at all you want to create a first Spring application using Maven as a build tool, so you are going to follow all these steps. These are the steps to be followed when you start your STS IDE. These are all the steps that you need to follow to develop the first Spring application. Now today we are going to discuss about first of all a concept called as types of dependency injections. Okay, right. When I talk about types of dependency injections, I told already what is dependency injection. Okay, I told about what is dependency injection and I told about what is dependency lookup, what is inversion of control. So these kind of things we have already discussed before we started with our Maven as a build tool. Before we started our discussion with Maven as a build tool, I have already explained about all these things. What I have explained, you can see here. What is dependency injection? Dependency lookup. I have explained already. What is inversion of control? That is also I have explained. I have given some diagrams also to understand about what is inversion of control. What is dependency injection? Dependency injection, dependency lookup are the two mechanisms to implement IOC design principle. So we call them as design patterns. So in the dependency injection, the framework creates the dependent object and a dependency object also injects the dependency object to the dependent object. In a dependency lookup, the container only creates the dependent and dependency objects, but it doesn't inject the dependency object to the dependent object. So the dependent object only will search for or look for its dependency object and it will get it. Okay, right. So in Spring, the container is implemented with which design pattern? Dependency injection. Means what Spring container will do here? It will create the dependent object. It will also create the dependency object and also injects what a dependency object to the dependent object. Who will take care of this work? Container will take care of it. Container will take care. Okay, in dependency lookup, okay, not the Spring container, but I'm talking about in dependency lookup, the container creates the dependent object. Container creates a dependency object, but the dependent object only has to look up for its dependency object and you'll get the object. There is no container support here for injecting the dependency object to the dependent object. This is called dependency lookup. These are the diagrams I have given in the previous. Now you know what is Spring configuration file and how do you edit the Spring configuration file. These things also we have discussed. Okay, right? And we discuss about types of Spring containers. There is a Bean Factory container and second one is called application context container. And I've given a diagram. Bean Factory is an interface. XML Bean Factory is the implementation class. Okay. Application context is an interface. And what are these three? Implementation classes. Yesterday in our example, we have used this implementation class. Which one we have used? Class path XML application context. This is the class implementation class that we have used in the last class. Am I right or not? So file system XML application context, annotation config application context, I'm also going to explain to you. Okay, right? Annotation config application context I'm going to discuss at the time of annotations. Next, before annotations only, I'm also going to explain about what is file system XML application context. These are the two types of the Spring containers. Out of these two, which is the advanced container application? Application context is extension of what factory? Bean factory. Bean factory container can only read the configuration metadata from the XML files. But application context can read the metadata from the XML files as well as with the annotations from the annotations also. So annotations is the latest thing. So that's why, which is the advanced container? Application context, not the Bean factory. Application context is the advanced container than Bean factory. So then we discuss about Maven project structure, what is Maven archetype, dependencies, Maven commands, some Maven related knowledge we got it. Then we start in the last session about our first example and all the steps required in order to write the first application in the STS IDE using Maven as a build tool. Now today, okay, that's the so far what we have discussed. Are you getting my point now? Right. So now we are going to discuss. Okay, now we are going to discuss about types of dependency injections. Types of dependency injections. Dependence injections are three types. Dependence injections are three types. In dependence injection, what the container will do, what the Spring container will do, it will inject the dependency object to the dependent object. Okay, who will inject? Spring container will inject what to what? It will inject the dependency object to the dependent object. Who will take care of injecting the dependency object now? Spring container will do that. Okay, right. Good. There are three types of dependence injections. One is called constructor injection. Second one is called setter injection. Third one is called interface injection. These are the three types of dependence injections. Constructor injection, setter injection, interface injection are the three types of dependence injections. In annotations, we are also going to get fourth category, fourth type of dependence injection, that is called field injection. What is that? Field injection. I repeat once again, it is called what injection? Field injection. Field injection is going to be discussed in annotations. Currently, we are not working with annotations. We are working with the XML file. Only for the first 2-3 applications, we rate XML file. Next, I'll introduce annotations. I'll start with why annotations, what are annotations, how annotations are created, blah, 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 blah. Then we'll introduce Spring annotations. Okay, right. So now, okay, now we are going to understand about what is constructor injection. See, it's the terminology is very simple. The names are big, but concept is very simple. Okay, right. See, suppose I'm creating one dependent class and one dependency class. For example, I'm creating a dependent class and it depends on another class. That's called dependency class. Right. Good. See, for example, try to understand now. For example, I'm creating a class called as public class. For example, I'm creating a class called as public class. Okay, public class could be some class name, doesn't matter. Let's say my class name is employee controller. Okay, there is a class called employee controller. I repeat. And there is another class available in my application called employee service. So there is a class called employee controller. There is a class called employee service. Now, this employee controller depends on employee service. Tell me, if employee controller depends on employee service, then tell me employee controller need an object of employee service class, which means we can say what employee controller has a relation with what now? Employee service, because employee controller depends on employee service. employee service. Very good. So what I am taking now, employee service. Employee service. Let's say, for example, EMP service. I am creating one reference variable. Here, what I am doing now, I am creating the reference variable, but I am not assigning any object to the reference variable. So in this line, object is not created. Only reference variable is created, but object is not assigned to the reference variable. Are you able to get my point? Means what? This statement is only for creating the reference variable, but not for initializing the reference variable. Now this reference variable is initialized or not initialized? Not initialized. Not initialized. Okay, we are declaring the variable, but we are not creating the variable. Nothing but we are not creating the object. We are only declaring the variable. Observe here. Observe here. Now, in the employee controller class, this is called which class according to our terminology? Dependent class, which is also called as target class. Okay, because this class or this object, employee controller object, depends on employee service object. Am I right or not? So tell me, employee controller is called what object? Dependent object or dependent class. Employee service is called what object? Dependency object. Otherwise, we can call dependency class. Dependency class. Now, in the employee controller, I am defining a constructor. Public. Class name is employee controller. Constructor name is also same as class name. Am I right or not? Constructor name is also same as class name. Always know that. You know that what? There are two types of constructors. One is called parameterless constructor. Other one is a parameterless constructor. Constructor name must be same as what name only? Class name only. So the class name is what? Employee controller. The constructor name is also what? Employee controller. Employee controller. So I'm taking with a parameter as employee service. Feel that this is at right side. This is employee service. Okay, this is called dependency class. Okay, right. Now inside this constructor, this is a constructor, right? Now tell me, I want to assign this local variable to this instance variable. Then here the local variable name is what? Service. Here the instance variable name is what? EMP service. Both names are different now. Then if the names are different, there is no need of using this keyword. Okay, if the names are same, then only we have to use this keyword, right? If names are different, there is no need of using this keyword. Then tell me what I can write here. EMP service is the instance variable and service is the local variable. I want to assign this local variable to the instance variable. That's what the concept now. Very good. Now, tell me in this dependent class, there is a constructor is defined now. Through this constructor, what object is injected? What is defined in the dependent class here? Constructor. For what? Injecting. Injecting what object? Employee service. Employee service is a what object? Dependency object. So in a dependent class, if a constructor is provided in the dependent class for injecting the dependency class object or dependency object, then it is called constructor injection. It is called what injection? Constructor. Okay, when we say that it's called constructor injection, if a dependent class is providing, for dependent class or dependent object is providing a constructor for injecting the Dependency object. This constructor is defined for injecting what object only? Dependency object only. That's why it is called what type of injection? Constructor injection. Very simple. Constructor injection. Are you able to follow me, right? Okay, good. Understand this point clearly. Now, suppose I am deleting the constructor. Now tell me, do we have any constructor? If I delete this constructor, could you guys tell me, do we have any constructor in this employee controller now?
Yes.
Do you have any constructor here in this class? No constructor is available in this class? Constructor is there. Because without constructor, we don't have a class in Java. Am I right or not? Suppose if you are not writing any constructor explicitly, if no constructor you are writing explicitly, then what Java JVM will do? JVM will create a default constructor. So this class also has a constructor, but what type of constructor it has? Default constructor. What is it? Default constructor. Default constructor. Default constructor also belongs to parameterless constructor. Also belongs to because default constructor also does not contain any parameters. Default constructor will initialize the variables with the default values. Then tell me what's the default value of EMP service? Null. Because it is a reference variable, it is an object type. If it is a primitive variable, for example, like int x, the default value is 0. Because it is a primitive type. Default value of x is going to be 0. Default value of EMP service is going to be null. For object types or simply for reference types, the default value is what? Very good. Now coming to the point. I am defining a setter method. Could you guys tell me how to define a setter method to set the value to this variable? Public return type is void, because always a setter method has return type what? Void. Very good. Getter method should have a return type which matches with the data type of the variable. The return type of the getter method should be data type of the variable, right? Tell me what is the variable name? EMP service. Tell me how to define the setter method? Public void set. Setter method always starts with a set, followed by variable name with the first letter in uppercase. Tell me what is the variable name? EMP service. If you write first letter in uppercase, then E is going to become capital. Then tell me set capital E EMP. Already S is in capital. EMP service of parameter. Okay, the parameter should be the same reference variable. Employee service, EMP service. Am I right or not? Now tell me here, parameter name is what? EMP service. Parameter is always called local variable. Parameter is called local variable. What is the local variable name? What is the instance variable name? EMP service. If both names are same, then how do you distinguish between them? By using this keyword. What to write here? This dot EMP service equals to the EMP service. Now you tell me, in this case, this dependent object has defined a constructor or a setter method. Setter method for what? It has defined a setter method for injecting what object only? Dependency object. That is why it is called what type of injection? Right. Very good. Interface injection will take some time to understand, but first we are going to discuss only two. What are the two? Constructor injection and set. So tell me what happens in constructor injection? The dependent object provides a constructor for injecting the dependency object. That is called what injection? In setter injection, the dependent object will provide a setter method for injecting the dependency object. That's why it is called what injection? Setter injection. So simply what we can say, if a dependency object is injected to the dependent object via or through what? Constructor. Through what? Constructor of the dependent class or dependent object, then it is called what injection? Constructor injection. If a dependency object is injected to the dependent object through a setter method of dependent object, it is called what type of injection? Setter injection. That's the definitions. Are you able to follow me? Nothing more. Okay, good. First, we'll understand about constructor injection. and how to configure that. Look at, first of all, let me add 1-2 points, then again I will continue. Okay. If a dependency object is injected to the dependent object, dependent object is also called as target object. Another name of dependent object is called what? Target object. Tell me, if a dependency object is injected to the dependent object, which is called target object, through what? Through the constructor defined in the dependent object or dependent class, any word I can, class or object, anything, right? Okay, through the constructor defined in the dependent object. Am I right or not? Then it is called what injection? Constructor injection. Next, if what is that now? If a dependency object is injected to the what object? Dependent object, which is also called as target object. Tell me, target object through the setter method defined in the dependent object. Then it is called what injection? Setter injection. It is called setter injection. So am I clear with the 2 points now? It is called setter injection. The interface injection we'll discuss later, but first we are understanding about what and what injections only? Constructor injection and the setter injection. So these are the two things I'm first going to explain. Okay, very good. Now let's talk about it. Okay, for example, here first we are writing one class called what? Public class. It doesn't matter whatever it is. Let's say, for example, I'm creating a class called EMP controller. And I'm creating EMP service. I'm defining constructor public EMP controller of EMP service. Then what I'm writing here? This dot is optional. Okay. EMP service is equal to service. When to write this as mandatory? If what? If both are same. For example, if I take this name also EMP service, for example, tell me, both are EMP service and EMP service only, na? Right. In such case, what should I write? This keyword I have to write. Okay, there are some other methods available here. Here I must write which keyword? This dot. If I don't write this dot, what will happen? Do you know? The same local variable is again back to local variable. Local variable only assigned to the local variable. What's the use of assigning the same local variable value to local variable only? There is no use, right? X is equal to 10. You write X is equal to X. What happens? Int X is equal to 10. X is equal to X. What happens here? X value is how much now? 10. This 10 is assigned to which variable again? X. Already X is 10. You are again assigning the same variable value to same variable. What's the use of assigning like this? No use, na? Same thing will happen here also. Very good. Try to understand. Very good. Now I want to come back, guys. Then other methods are available here. Other methods are available in the class. This is called EMP controller class. Next, I have one more class called what? EMP service. And it contains some methods. I'm not talking about what are there inside that. There are some methods. Now you tell me, EMP controller is called what class?
Dependency.
Dependent class. Otherwise, we can call it as target class. Tell me, this EMP service is called what class? Dependency class. This is called dependency class. Okay. Now you tell me in this example, what is defined in the dependent class for injecting the dependency object? Constructor. This is called what type of injection? Constructor injection. So here I am writing in dependent object, a constructor is defined, a constructor is provided, or better, a dependent object is providing a constructor, better, is providing a constructor, okay, is providing a constructor for injecting the dependency object. In a dependent object, okay, the dependent object is providing, better, the dependent object is providing a constructor for injecting the dependency object. So it is what type of injection? Yes, it is constructor injection. It is constructor injection. Okay, right. I'll tell you how to write all these things in the XML file next. Let's say same example one more time we will write.
Sir.
Again, for example. Okay, again, for example. So you guys need to understand this. Now tell me, here instead of writing the constructor, which method I want to write? Setter method. How do you write now? Public void set EMP service. Now you tell me this is called which method? Setter method. Now again I'm going to write a statement here. Now the dependent object is providing which method? A setter method for injecting the dependency object. Injecting the what object? Dependency object. So it is setter injection. It is what injection? Setter injection. Good. Now we have to understand how to write in the XML file. See, first of all, while writing XML, let us start with the constructor injection. Let us start with the constructor injection. After that, I'll talk about the setter injection. How to write the configuration.
Hello.
See.
Hello, sir.
There are two classes are there with us. For example, okay, I can take same example, controller in service. Okay, otherwise another example I'm taking it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm taking one more class like this now. This example we will write in the code also. That's why I'm taking this example. For the example, you guys need to know is, suppose I have a class called public class. Okay, I'm taking this example. Let's say movie lister. What's the one class name? Movie lister. Okay, movie lister is one class. And there is another class available called movie finder. Okay, here I will write public class movie finder. Then there are two classes are there. What are the two classes? Movie lister and movie finder. Okay, the package name of this class is just com.pack, package com.pack. Its package name is also package com.pack. Okay, guys, there is understanding. There is a package called com.pack. Okay, there is class called movie lister. There is a class called what? Movie finder. There are two classes are there with me. I repeat, there are two classes are there with me, movie lister and movie finder. Here, movie lister is a dependent class. It depends on movie finder. Movie lister is a class. Movie lister class or movie lister object depends on what object? Movie finder object. Now you tell me movie lister object is called what object? Dependent object. Movie finder is its dependency object. Okay, so movie lister has a relationship with the movie finder. Movie finder. Okay, I'm taking like this now. Movie finder. Movie finder. Movie finder. And I'm defining constructor. So could you guys tell me how to write the constructor now? Public. Public. What's the class name? Movie lister class, because constructor name must be always the same as class name. Then tell me what should be the parameter? What should be the parameter? Movie finder. Movie finder. Movie finder. Then what should I write now? This dot movie finder equals to the movie finder. Did you guys understand the two classes now? Am I clear with this now? There are other methods are there. Other methods. Now you tell me the two classes are ready. Okay, right? There are two classes. The two classes are ready here. Now at the right side, I want to talk about how to write the configuration. Let's say my file name is config.xml. I told XML file name could be config.xml or XML file name could be any other name.xml also. I can write application context.xml, context.xml, beans.xml, some name you can provide, whatever name. Okay, right. Config.xml I want to prefer. It's a configuration file. Any name. What is the root tag? What is the root tag of writing this XML? Beans. Yesterday we started writing beans tag. Of course, with the beans tag, some attributes are required. XSI, schema location, the XML NS, something required. Those attributes you copy paste, I told already, don't understand them, just copy paste. Beans. Tell me, under beans, parent tag is what? Bean. Now tell me, who is the dependent class and who is dependency class? Movie lister is the, movie finder is the dependency class. Now tell me in the XML file, which bean first I need to configure? Means which class I need to configure? Dependent class or dependency class? That's what I'm asking. If this question asked in an interview, you have to say answer what? It could be any order. There is no rule that you first configure the dependency class, then configure the dependent class. Or first configure the dependent class, then configure the dependency class. There is no such kind of rules. Order could be any order. You don't worry about the order. Are you able to follow me? Are you getting everybody? Right. What I'm trying to say, guys, there is no specific order to configure the bean classes in the XML file. In the XML file, you can configure the bean classes in any order. Okay, doesn't matter. Dependent first, dependency next, or dependency first, dependent next. It could be any order. So bean. Okay, I want to add ID. Let's say ID is equal to, okay, movie lister is my class now. Could be any name, doesn't matter. For example, I'm writing small name M lister. Some name, my own name, whatever the name I want, I can write. Okay. Bean ID is equal to what I'm writing? M lister. Next one is what? Class. Class means fully qualified class name. Na? What is the class name? Com.pack. So com.pack. What is the class name? Movie lister. I'm trying to fit here. Assume that it is a movie lister. Okay. Assumption. Now this is bean tag. Na? Very good. Please try to understand now. Okay, I'm just closing this bean tag. Tell me, another bean is also there. Bean. What next? ID. For each bean to configure, ID and class are required. Tell me, what is the ID? Let's say, for example, M finder. What is the name? M finder. Class com dot. What next? Pack dot movie finder. It is there like that. Feel like that. Then close the bean stack. So far, this knowledge we know already. Now, coming to the point here. Tell me, there is a constructor defined for injecting the dependency object. Yes. So, how to tell this information to the Spring container? Because who is responsible for injecting the dependency object? Spring container only. Container responsibility is what? Basically create the objects, initialize them, inject the dependencies, everything will be taken care by container. But how to tell the Spring container? How to tell the Spring container that there is a constructor for injecting the dependency object? Able to follow me? So for that, I'm using a tag here. Please try to understand. This is my dependent class. Who is a dependent class? Movie lister. Tell me, dependent class has defined a constructor for what? It has defined a constructor for injecting the dependency object. This information should be provided to the container also. This information should be provided to the, but how to provide this information to the container? There is a tag called constructor -arg. It's a child tag I'm writing now. Child tag under bean. Under bean, the child tag is what now? Constructor -arg. It is hyphen, sir, not underscore. Don't do the spelling mistakes. Don't write unnecessarily capital letters in the tags and all. XML, case sensitive. Constructor -arg. Which means what? Constructor argument. This is a constructor, na? There is argument, right? Constructor argument. Constructor -arg. Understand? Constructor -arg. Tell me, what is the name of the argument? Constructor has argument, right? Constructor can have multiple arguments also. Yes, very good. Tell me, first argument. What is the name of the first argument? Movie finder. Constructor -arg. Constructor -arg. Please understand. Arg name equal to. Tell me, what is the name of the argument? Movie finder. Movie finder. Online people, please raise your question if you are not getting anything. Okay. Constructor -arg name equal to movie finder. Movie finder is the name of the argument. Next, now understand here. Tell me, this constructor argument is a value. Is a value. Means is it a primitive type variable or a reference type variable? This argument is a reference type variable. If it is a reference type variable, then we should use ref is an attribute. For the attribute now, ref, because a reference type variable now, it is a reference variable. Reference variable means what should I write? Ref is equal to, what should be the ref attribute value? The ref attribute value should be the ID of the dependency object. ID of the, tell me, what is the ID of the dependency object? M finder. What is that? M finder. M finder. Please try to understand. I'm writing /close, which means the tag is closed. Self-closing tag. You know, already in HTML also some tags were self-closing, like break tag and all. So self-closing tag. So self-closing means /close is called self-closing tag. Very good. Now you tell me what's the tag I'm writing here? Constructor -arg. Constructor argument. Constructor argument. Constructor -arg. Name. What's the name of the argument? Movie finder is the name of the constructor argument. Ref. It's a reference variable. For reference variable, we should use what? Ref. Ref attribute. It's a reference variable. So ref attribute. Okay. What should be the value of the ref attribute? ID of its ID of the dependency object. Tell me what the ID of the dependency object now? M finder. So ref is equal to M finder. So always the value for ref attribute must be the ID of what object? Dependency object. ID of dependency object. So ID of the dependency bean or ID of dependency object. What's the ID of the dependency object? M finder. So ref is equal to M finder. That's it. Then we are going to use value attribute. What's the attribute name? Value. Everybody get my point now? Movie finder. Ref is equal to what I am writing? M finder. Everybody try to understand. What's the new tag that you learned here? There is a child tag we can write under bean. What is the name? Constructor hyphen arg, which means what? Constructor argument. What is the name of the constructor argument? Movie finder. It is a primitive type or reference type? Reference type. So what is the attribute to use? Ref. What should be the value for ref attribute? ID of the dependency object. Tell me what the ID of the dependency object here? M finder. So ref is equal to M finder. For example, ID is not M finder. ID is a movie finder. Then tell me what should I write? Ref is equal to what should I write? What should I write? Ref is equal to movie finder, not M finder. It is what finder? Movie finder. Movie finder. So don't get confused if you look at any tag like this. Okay, what is this movie finder? This movie finder, this movie finder, both names must be same. Don't conclude like that. What is this? What is this one? Name of the argument. It is name of the argument. But ref must be what? ID of the dependency object. What's the ID of the dependent objects now? Movie finder. It is movie finder. Okay, let's go ahead. Easy to understand. So far, I have explained you about one tag called constructor hyphen arg. Constructor hyphen arg. Please understand. Hope you guys understood about the tag called. Okay, hope you guys understood about the tag called constructor hyphen arg. Okay, there is a tag called constructor hyphen arg. Sir, how many times I can add constructor hyphen arg? Observe how many arguments are there. Tell me this is constructor with arguments, parameter as constructor. Then tell me how many arguments are there in the constructor? One argument. So that's why you are repeating this tag for only one time. If there are two arguments, you should repeat this tag for 2 times. So how many times I can repeat this constructor hyphen arg tag? That depends on number of parameters, number of arguments to the constructor. Able to follow me? Good. Try to understand now. I'll explain next. Don't worry. Next. Suppose assume that no, it has not defined the constructor. It has defined the setter method. Tell me what I am writing here. Public void set movie finder. Okay, I'm trying to adjust there. You guys tell me this is constructor or setter method? Setter method for injecting the dependency object. Which constructor is defined in the dependent class, or dependent class is providing a setter method? Dependent class must provide one constructor or setter. It is providing what now? Setter for injecting what object? Dependency object. Now in this case, I should not write constructor hyphen arg. How to tell this information to the Spring container? I need to write just only some small change. I need to write a tag called property. What's the tag name? Property. Just property. Tell me again, what are the attributes of the property? Name. What's the name of the property? What is the name of the property? Movie finder. Property name is movie finder. That's why you are creating a setter method called set movie finder. Property name is what here? Movie finder is a property. Property means attribute name. Attribute name is what here? Movie finder. So property name is movie finder. Ref is equal to what? M finder. Why it is ref? Because it is, this property is a primitive type or a reference type? Reference type. Reference type means what attribute you have to use? Ref attribute we have to use. So tell me, what are the two tags that you learned that we can add under the bean tag? What are the two child tags? One is constructor hyphen arg. What is the second one? Property. Tell me when to write constructor hyphen arg tag. When should I write constructor hyphen arg tag under the bean? If the dependent object or dependent class has defined a constructor for injecting the dependency object. Very good. When to write property tag? If a dependent class is providing setter method for injecting the dependency object, then we should write what tag? Property tag. So there are two tags you have to understand, learn. What are the two tags you are learning? Constructor hyphen arg tag. Next one is property tag. Very good. Let us delete all these things. Anyhow, we are going to write code for that. I'm going to show you the code. We are learning all the configurations today. Assume that, please try to understand that I have a class. Please understand, I have a class. Public class. I have a class called assume that the package name is simple name, package P1. P1 is the name of the package. This class belongs to P1 package. Public class, let's say something, okay. Let's say public class network manager. In the network manager, I have a variable called string. Okay, string, please understand. String server IP. What's the variable name? Server IP. Means server IP address. Server IP is a string variable. And also one more variable is there called network adapter. Let's say, for example, network adapter. Guys, you are all learning the important basics of the Spring Core module. And I'm defining, please understand. Here I'm defining setter method for server IP. And also I'm defining another setter method for network adapter. And there are some other methods. Instead of writing the code, because you guys know how to write the setter method, that's why I'm just simply saying setter. Tell me, first setter method is defined to set the server IP. The second setter method is defined to set the network adapter. Tell me, network manager is called what class? Network manager is called what class? Dependent class. Network adapter is called what class? Dependency class. Network manager depends on network adapter. So who is a dependent class? Network manager. Who is its dependency class? Network adapter. Assume that network adapter, one more class is also there in my application. Understand it. But you see, server IP is a variable. It is of what type? String. We know string is also a class. Java.lang.string. String is class, right? Very good. But when you are working with the Spring framework, in working the Spring framework will treat string as a value type, primitive type, actually class. But Spring framework will treat like a primitive, like a int, float, char, double, like that. Feel like that. Okay. Spring framework will treat string also like a primitive type. That's why it is not object type. Now you tell me, this is called what type of dependency? Now tell me, network manager has how many attributes? 2 attributes. The first attribute is a primitive type, but the second one is a primitive type or reference type? Reference type. First one is what type? Primitive type. Second one is what type? Reference type. Reference type. Are you able to get my point? Very good. Try to understand, everybody, because this will play important role next. This is primitive type. Okay, this is reference type. This is a reference type. Because string is treated as a what type in Spring? Primitive type. But this is class. Class means what type it is? Reference type. It is a reference type variable. It is primitive type, it is a reference type. Okay, right. Now coming to the point here. How to write the configuration of this in the XML file? Okay, let us start writing the XML. What is the file name? Config.xml. Tell me, what is the root tag of writing this? Beans. Okay, I'll start from here. Beans. What is the child tag? Bean. Sorry, parent tag. Root tag beans, parent tag bean. Or the attributes of bean? ID. ID is equal to, would be, doesn't matter. Let's say I'm taking simple names called NM. Network manager, NM. Next one is what? Class. P1 dot, package name also small package name I took now. P1 dot, what's the class name? Network manager. Okay, this is one bean tag. Tell me, like network manager, there is one more class available called what? Network adapter. It is also in the same package called P1. Package P1, public class, network adapter. Please understand with something. Later you complete example for this, but currently I'm only explaining what is what. Tell me, bean ID is equal to NM, class is equal to P1 dot network manager. So now you guys understand, under bean tag we should write one child tag. Yes. What is the child tag I should write? Right. Tell me, what methods are defined here? Setter methods. Okay, let us understand the property tags later, but first I want to give some space, then I want to close the bean tag. One more bean tag I am writing. ID is equal to NA. Class is equal to what? P1 dot network adapter. Network adapter. Did you guys understood so far? Close the bean tag. Beans tag also we are closing it. Now you tell me, under the bean tag. Now tell me, under the bean tag here. Under this bean tag I am talking. Under this bean tag. Tell me, this is called dependent class or dependency class? This bean class is a dependency class. Now, sorry. Yes, sorry. Dependent class. Tell me, this dependent class has defined a setter method for injecting the setter method defined for injecting the primitive type, and also setter method defined for injecting the reference type. 2 setters, na? Very good. Now I am starting what tag now? Property. Why should I write property? Because of setter method is provided. If a constructor is provided for injecting, then what's the tag to write? Constructor hyphen ARG, not ORG, ARG. And it is hyphen, not underscore. Constructor hyphen ARG. Very good. I am writing
Excuse me,
property.
sir.
Tell me, what is the name of the property? What's for the name of the property? Server IP. I have a question to you.
Excuse me,
Server
sir.
IP is a reference type or primitive type? If it is a primitive type, then we should not use ref. When to use ref? If it is a reference type property, then ref. It's a reference type or primitive type. If it is a primitive type, okay. If it is a primitive type, now you guys tell me, I should not write what attribute? Ref attribute. Then I should write value attribute. What's the attribute name? Value.
Excuse me, sir.
Value.
Sir.
So when to write value and when to write ref? If that property is a primitive type, then use value attribute. If that property is a reference type, then use ref attribute. Very easy to understand. Yes. Value is equal to double quotes start. Start the double quotes and start writing the value for it. Let's say, for example, server IP is 180.9.17.15. Assume that. Close the tag. So why I'm writing this? To explain this value attribute. Again, property. Why this time? Again, I'm repeating the same tag called property for the another dependency. Now tell me, this one is a value type or reference type? First of all, tell me what is the name of the property? What is the name of the property? Network adapter. Network adapter. Next what? Ref. Why this time I'm using ref? Because this is primitive type or reference type? Reference type. For reference type, we should use what attribute now? Ref. Ref is equal to what is the ref attribute should be? The value of ref attribute must be ID of dependency. Who is ID of dependency? NA. ID of the dependency object is NA. Close. Now, did you guys understood how we are able to write the tags like property tag? Are able to follow me, right? Everybody is getting this point? Very good. Observe here. Everybody similarly try to understand. Yeah. How do you write the setter method like this? He is not in this method. Okay. Do you understand this question? Both the setter name is same. It's not possible, first of all. So this is a ruled out question.
Sir.
Because how can you write both setter methods the same? Setter method always based on name of the variable. If the name of the variable is server IP, setter method is what? Set server IP. If the name of the variable is network adapter, then setter method is what? Set network adapter. So both names never be same. So we are no need to worry on that. Good, correct. Next, coming to the point. Sir, I have not defined setters. I'm sorry. I have defined only one constructor for injecting both. I'll tell you when to define constructor, when to define setter for injecting the dependencies. For some requirements,
Sir.
am I right or not?
Sir.
Constructor is used.
Excuse me, sir.
For some requirements, setter is used.
Voice is not going.
So we are not saying that constructor is more better than setter or setter is more better than. Based on requirement, you have to use. But I will tell you the requirement use cases. That is called differences between what and what? Constructor injection and right. Okay. We cannot say that pencil is better than pen or pen is better than pencil. Right? When you want to draw the diagrams, you can't draw with the pen. You can draw with only pencil. When you want to write the notes, you have to write with the pen, but not with the pencil in exams. Everyone has its own requirement. That's what you have to understand. Requirement is important. That's why multiple things are available. based on requirement only. Now we are getting based on requirement only. Are you able to get my point? Yes. Please try to understand here based on requirement.
Sir,
Okay. Try to understand this concept. Why these many concepts and frameworks or tools are available? These are all available for requirements only. To provide a solution for a requirement, we need what? A framework or a technology or a tool or a server, whatever it is.
yes,
So that's
sir.
why requirements, based on requirements. Okay.
Sir,
I'll tell you that. See,
sir,
I'm not defining setter. I'm defining what here? Constructor.
sir.
Constructor with two parameters.
Can you join? Why my voice is not going to
How many
sir?
parameters? Two parameters. One parameter is for what? One parameter is for what? Server IP. Other parameter is for what? Network adapter. For both. One constructor I can define with two parameters. Can I write one setter method with two parameters? One setter method with two parameters. Can I write like that? No. No. Setter method is one for one property. Please type your, I can't able to hear your voice actually. Please type your question in the chat box. Please type your question in the chat box. Because I can't able to hear your voice today. There is some issue with my mic. Please. Yeah. Tell me, there is a constructor with how many parameters now? Very good. Very good. Tell me, guys, everybody, tell me. If there is a constructor, then we should use a property tag or we should use constructor hyphen arg tag? Constructor hyphen arg tag. Yes. Then tell me, just in place of writing property tag, what tag I am going to write? Constructor hyphen arg. Here also what I am writing? Constructor hyphen. Able to follow me, everyone? Very good. One thing. When you are working with constructor hyphen arg tag, please remember this point. Small point, very, very small point we can remember. We are remembering many things. Obviously, we can remember this one also. Am I right or not? Okay, who is the music director of Bahubali movie? What is the answer? Keeravani. RRR movie. Keeravani. Next movie of Rajamouli. Who is the music director? Very good. Excellent. Very good. So we can remember so many things in this. This is also one. Name we can write. If you are feeling that name is bigger one or something like that, then in constructor hyphen arg tag, one more option is available. You can also write index. First parameter index 0. Second parameter index 1. You can write index also. Means I can remove what? Name. I can write what? Index. Index is equal to double quotes 0. Index is equal to double quotes 1. You can write like this also. Sir, can I write this index in property tag? No. Because property tag does not contain 2, 3 parameters. Setter method can contain only one parameter. For setter method, which tag we write? Property tag. So tell me, finally, I just want to delete all this. Tell me, what the tag you have learned, guys? Constructor hyphen arg. Could you guys tell me what attributes you have learned under this tag? What attributes you learned for this tag?
Index.
Name, ref, value, index. Able to follow me? If you don't want to write the name, you can use what? Index. When to use value, when to use ref? If that argument is a primitive type, then use value attribute. If that object is a reference type, use ref attribute. Very good. Tell me what the other tag you learned? Property tag you have learned. Tell me what are the child tags of property? Sorry, attributes under property tag you learned? Name, ref, value. But can I use index here? No. Index is ruled out. It's a ruled out question. We can't use index. So tell me what and what combinations we can use. Name ref one combination. Name value. When to use value? If it is a primitive type dependency. If it is an object type dependency, ref. If it is a reference variable, use ref. If it is a primitive variable, then use what? Value. So you learned today about the tags called what and what, constructor-arg tag, and also the property tag. Now the question, one more doubt generally comes. Okay, if not coming, I will raise the doubt. Okay, the doubt is there are two dependencies are available. One dependency I want to inject through constructor, other dependency I want to inject through setter. Is it possible or not? For example, same, take the class called network manager. What's the class name? Network manager. Please try to understand now. What are the, just I'm writing only shortcut. Tell me, what are the dependencies? Server, IP. Next one is network adapter. You are learning all the tags today. Then so that we can write code in the session next. Server, IP, network adapter. Tell me, I'm defining constructor. Constructor for server IP. I'm defining setter method in the class for injecting network adapter. Tell me my dependent class. Now tell me my dependent class. Network manager is a dependent class. It has how many dependencies? Two dependencies. In that, one dependency is a primitive type. Other dependency is a reference type. And for injecting first dependency, what I'm defining? Constructor. And for injecting the other dependency, the class is defining which method now? Setter method. So can I write both constructor and setter method for injecting the dependencies or not? Yes, we can write. Yes, we can write. Then you tell me, for this constructor, which tag I have to use? Constructor hyphen arg under the bean. Tell me, okay, tell me, leave out remaining things. Tell me for this setter, what the tag we need to write? Property. If there is a setter method, then we should start writing the property tag. Now tell me, both we can write at a time under the bean now. So what are the two child tags that you guys have learned today? Constructor hyphen arg tag. Next one is a when to use constructor hyphen arg tag. When should I write constructor hyphen arg tag under the bean? If the dependent class has defined a constructor for injecting the dependency value or dependency object, then tell me which tag we need to write? Constructor hyphen arg. If a setter method is provided for injecting the dependency value or dependency object, then property tag. Are you able to get my point? Very good. So different things you have learned today. Okay, almost a majority of XML, whatever is required, you guys have got it today. Practically, I'll show you tomorrow, but you got to know what are the tags and why we are writing those tags, such kind of things. Let me add all the statements, whatever so far we have discussed, at least 3-4 statements. Okay, right. Tell me now. In the Spring configuration file, to tell the Spring container or container, any word, to tell the Spring container, to tell or to provide information to the container, anything. Okay, to tell the Spring container that a constructor is defined. A constructor is defined to inject a dependency. Tell me. To tell the Spring container that a constructor is defined to inject a dependency. To inject a dependency, we have to use which tag? Constructor hyphen arg tag under bean tag. Under bean tag only na? Next, again same statement. Same statement, guys. Same statement. Tell me in Spring configuration file to tell the Spring container that not constructor. What now? A sector method is defined. A sector method is defined to inject a dependency. We have to use what tag? Property tag. What's the tag name, guys? Property tag. Property tag. Please try to understand all these things. Am I clear with this now? Right. Tell me, when you're running construct-arg tag, what are the attributes that we can use with construct-arg tag? Name, ref, value, and index. When to use index? When you don't want to use the name. Either use name attribute or index attribute. First parameter index 0. Second parameter index 1. Very good. Let us see the question here. Sure. Okay. Are you getting my point now? Right. We'll see in the code. I'm going to show you the code how to use the index attribute. Okay. Sure. Okay. We'll go ahead. Next. Try to understand now. Okay. Next, tell me. But remember, name or index, both also we can use, but no use. We are using name means what? No need of using index. When you are using index means no need of using name, like that. Okay. But when to use ref attribute and when to use name value attribute? If the dependency is a value type, value attribute. If the dependency is a reference type or object type, basically you have to understand. Try to understand, sir. In Spring, a dependent class can have two types of dependencies. I'm not talking about, guys, dependence injections. Dependence injections are three types. Dependencies are two types. What are the two types? One is primitive type. Second one is reference type. One is primitive type. Second one is reference type. Are you able to follow me? Okay. Example. Please try to understand. Please try to understand, sir. Try to understand. Suppose I'm writing one class like this. Many things, examples only will tell us information and good clarity on the subject. Okay. See, public class customer. Please understand, sir. Customer has a int private and all. We write access modifiers with private int like that. I'm not talking about private or protected or public or those things later. Int customer ID. Okay. Next, I'm taking address. For example, sir. Next, I'm taking list of policies. Tell me, this is my customer class in Spring. Customer ID is what type? Primitive type, because int is a primitive type. Address is what type? Reference type. Address is not a primitive type. It is a reference variable of address class. It's a reference variable of type address. Address is a class. Address is another class which contains variables like house number, street, city, pin code, like that. Now you tell me, this is called what type? Reference type. Now we have something called list. Customer can have multiple policies. Am I right or not? One customer means one person can have 2-3 policies or not? Yes, he has a life insurance policy, health insurance policy. Nowadays people are taking more than one health insurance policy from one company and other company, because nowadays it's mandatory. Otherwise we can't pay the hospital bills. For sure. Am I right or not? మన హాస్పిటల్కి వెళ్తే ఫస్ట్ ఏం చెప్పొద్దు, నాకు ఇన్సూరెన్స్ ఉందని చెప్పొద్దు. ఒకళ్ళు ఉన్నా కానీ 10 lakhs ఇన్సూరెన్స్ ఉంటే 2 lakhs ఉందని చెప్పాలి. మీరు 10 lakhs ఉందని చెప్పారనుకోండి, ఆ 10 lakhs అయిపోయేంత వరకు మీకు ఇంజెక్షన్స్ పొడుస్తూనే ఉంటారు. ఓకే, గుడ్. Come to the point here. List of policies. List is also an object. List is object, na? Array list object, link list object, vector. These are all called what? Objects only, na? Object means what type? Reference type. Now you tell me this collection type. It's a collection type, right? List is one collection type. This collection type also called as what type only? Now you tell me in Spring, a dependent class can have how many types of dependencies? How many types? 2 types. 2 types. Are you able to follow me? 2 types. What are they? One is called primitive type, remaining are called reference types. This is what I'm trying to say. Are you clear with this now? Right. Could you guys understand or tell me any other type available? I covered here primitive type, I covered here a reference type, I covered is a collection type. Nothing more. Nothing more. Are you able to follow me, everyone? Yes? Excellent. Good. Huh? Why not? Sure, it can have. Definitely. Okay. See, I'll clarify your doubt. See, I'm writing one class. Again, same class. Let's say, for example, I'm taking public class. For example, public class. Customer. Okay, customer. Here, customer means he is a customer of telecom company. Okay. Customer to telecom. Like we are a customer to Jio, we are a customer to Airtel. Like that. Okay, right. Now tell me, as a customer, you have a plan or not? You are using a Jio 399 plan or 599, some plan, existing plan you are using? Yes. Means plan. Which means what? Customer has a plan. Are you able to follow me? Right. You are also making some calls or not? Yes. So now I'm taking, there is another object which contains your call details. Which contains your call details. Like to which phone number you called, on which date you have called, at what time you have called, and how many seconds that call went on. All these details are placed in one object called call details object, for example. There is a class called call details. Then tell me, who is a dependent class here? Customer. It has how many dependencies? 2 dependencies. Means now customer is a dependent object. It depends on how many dependency objects? 2 dependency objects. Who are they? Plan object and call details. It means what? One dependent object can have multiple dependency objects. Who will inject all these objects? Container. But for injecting the container, this dependent object has to provide what? Either a constructor or a setter method. If constructor is provided, it is called constructor injection. The setter method is provided for injecting, it is called setter injection. Are you able to follow me now? Now this is called two ref attributes. 2 ref attributes or 2 constructor-arg attributes. You have to 2 times tag, na? Suppose I'm defining constructor. Okay. Guys, everybody in online, please try to understand. What's the answer here? One dependent object can have, is a question, right? Can have what? Multiple dependency objects or not? Is a question. What is the answer? Yes. Example, this one. Who is the dependent object? Customer. Who are the dependency objects? Plan and call details. Both are what objects? Dependency objects. So it is yes. Answer is okay. Yes. Suppose you have defined a constructor for injecting both. Means how many parameters? 2 parameters. Then tell me how many times you will let constructor if an ARG tag? 2 times. You are defining not constructor with the 2 parameters, setter, 2 setters. Then property. This property contains ref attribute. This property also contains ref attribute. Okay, guys. Finally, one point is very clear, and this is important to know that what in Spring a dependent class can have how many types of dependencies? 2 types of. What are the 2 types of dependencies? Number one, primitive type dependencies. Next one is reference type dependencies. Tomorrow I'll talk more on this. And I'll also provide you tomorrow example. First we are going to see constructor injection example. Next we are going to see setter injection example. 2 different examples will take up. Then after once we got to know about these 2 examples, then next I'm going to talk about difference between what and what? Constructor injection and setter injection. When constructor injection is better one and when setter injection is better one. And for that first we also need to know tomorrow about a concept called circular dependency. What dependency? Circular dependency problem, and how we can able to provide solution for the circular dependency problem. I'm going to tell you all these things. Am I clear with that now? Right. Tomorrow I'll continue. Thank you. From online, yeah. If you have any question, please let me know through chat box. I can't able to hear you today because